Well, I'm showing like 3 minutes after. So,
Let's do
they're
it.
either with us or they'll catch up, right? So, hi everybody. I am excited that you're here for head to head. Quick little definition about what head to head is. We don't know what it is. It's its own thing. So, it's not a podcast and it's not a webinar. It's a conversation. And it's a conversation that's best when you guys join in. So please don't be shy. Join in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want to hear about your experiences. And I am thrilled that I have my buddy Mike Lyon on the program.
That's me.
So that's him. That's him. He needs no introduction, but Mike, go for it. Go ahead and tell.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if this is our first time virtually meeting, welcome to the Zoom magical internet connection. It's good to see you. The quick story about me, I started in home building back in 2005. I started Do You Convert in 2009. It's going on 12 years. We have 13 employees, and our number one goal is to help builders generate more online leads than they've ever seen in their entire life, leads abounding, but also convert those leads, because really leads are worthless. Only appointments and sales have true value. So we really try and tie that together with our team at Do You Convert. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So, and you have been doing this a few minutes. So I met you back as you were just getting started, I think. So but back in Florida when we were doing the giant sales rallies at SEBC.
That's right. The good old days, as they like to say.
The good old days of the downturn.
Yeah, that was a great time to start a business. Everybody's like, you started in 2009. What was going on in home building then? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I started in 2007. So, and 2007 and 8, I actually did really well. 2009, I was curled up in a fetal position.
Yeah. I didn't know any better. So I was like, this is what it is. Okay. I guess it sucks like this all the time. So.
Right. Yeah. So fortunately, yeah, we turned that around pretty quickly and we lived to tell the tale. So
that's exactly right.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Kimberly Mackey. My company is New Home Solutions. And as I said, I started my business in 2007. I am a sales management consultant. I like to say that I'm the person that builders bring in to make sure that sales is the engine that drives the train instead of running it off the tracks. So I put all the parts and pieces together. And again, welcome. This is a program that I started kind of by accident last year, and it picked up its own kind of head of steam, and pardon the pun. And we have we've just been doing it all year long. And as long as people keep joining and people keep asking for things, then I'll keep it rolling. So next month I do have Leah Fellows from Blue Gypsy coming on. Leah, I believe, used to work with you, didn't she, Mike? So
yeah, she did some shops for us back in the day.
Yeah. So Leah's amazing, but we're going to be talking about how an abundance mentality can bring back some order to your world. I know if you're like me, you have crazy days, and this business can just like take a toll on you. And I couldn't think of anybody better to have that conversation with. So I'm super excited. Leah's going to be on. That's on September 14th at noon. So, and then with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. So again, I promised you, this is not a webinar, so we don't have slides.
What?
And no
I prepped slides.
No, you have to just
I'm
talk.
just kidding. I don't have slides.
You have to talk. And I know you. Right. I know you're shy. So, all right, well, let's talk. Let's start off and let's just kind of talk about what's going on. We're seeing a little, well, by little, I mean a pretty radical shift in the market. And we've seen that. It started, I would say it started in April, but I think we maybe were more aware of it in May. And it's just kind of been creeping on back to some semblance of normality. Is normal a word we're allowed to use anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, we're going for normal. I mean, I think that's the thing is it's been about 45 to 60 days in most of our markets where builders are like, hey, it's kind of slow or it's kind of quiet. And we always help them look back to the data and say, no, this is about normal. So if normal feels slow compared to the frantic pace we were at for the past, 9 months or so. And when we really look at the data too, from a website traffic and even lead volume standpoint, we're at July of 2019. So, which was a great, time to be a home builder and good leads and all that with it, but it just feels different. And I think they're combining that with the challenges of not having inventory or enough inventory, and deciding to price everything $100,000 more than it used to be. And they go, this feels weird. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sure it does. Sure, it feels weird for the customer too. So it is a tough one to get through. And if you're not, locked in and ready to go and understand what to do, then you're going to feel a little bit, it's going to be a little painful for a bit, for sure. Nathaniel says normal is great. That's right.
Yeah. And Nathaniel's normal is not the normal for the rest of us, because Nathaniel's out there in the wilds of Wyoming. So his normal is always just literally the wild, wild west, right, Nathaniel? So normal is good. When we get people back, we get a pace where we can actually build some rapport, get to know people. I said the days of telling people what we have and you'll take it, you get what you get, you don't pitch a fit. Those days, if you're not seeing that in your market right now, you're soon going to. I'm talking to builders all across the country. Virginia, Northern Virginia, I was talking to somebody. That market has been slammed for so long, and now they're seeing, oh wait, we can't do lotteries anymore. Wait, what do you mean our wait list doesn't mean anything? Nathaniel, I'm back to Nathaniel. He says our sales are growing to match the rest of the country. New normal for him. So he likes the new normal.
That's good.
Yeah. So, even in Northern Virginia, where things have just been hot, 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 we're seeing a bit of a cool down, and people are salespeople, and maybe not the OSCs, because I think the OSCs have been in great practice over the past couple of years. We've needed them more than we ever have, but our salespeople got a little rusty, and I'm working really hard with a lot of them to kind of shake that rust off and go back to doing some of those basic things and really, getting to the why.
Right. Well, here's what we've experienced in similarity to sales, with just, again, the overwhelming response and then a rush of buyers to change their situation and purchase a home, especially when it timed out right, where I can sell my house quickly, I can move into this brand new home that has more space, and I can work from home. And so commute doesn't matter as much anymore. It's still in this school district, or people just moving completely to, Boise, Idaho. It's, they did all this, and online sales was doing their best to keep up, but they, in the same vein, we had to make changes, because either you're going to have to hire more people or we're going to change our process. And in that process, we really made the recommendation to shortcut certain things, that you don't have to have as much personalization. You don't have to make as much phone calls. If you send an email, someone gets back to you. Prospecting was all but abandoned. And you had to do that in a survival mode. And so as we start coming back out of this too, especially people who've gotten in the business in the past 6 to 9 months, they don't understand what a normal market looks like. They look at this and they say it's slow. And we're like, it's not slow. And here's what personalization looks like. Here's what the right sales automation looks like. So for those of you who are like waiting for the sign or the announcement, it's time to go back to what it used to be. And that means you're going to have to work with them on their skills and their skill development, and also work with managing new objections that we're hearing. Well, what if the, lumber prices are down? Why aren't your prices down? Or what if the rates go up? And how long is it going to take to build? And I don't really want to do this. What's the wait list? Those are all objections that we're hearing, that they're just not, they don't have the language necessarily to overcome them. So it was similar. I mean, they were needed, but online sales just got, it was anybody, like if you said you want an appointment, everybody would be like, yes. No one ever said, nah, I got to check with someone on that. It's like, yes, please. How do I get an appointment? They were calling, they were chatting, they were signing up for multiple priority lists. They were trying to drive out and come on their own. Like you couldn't keep them from stop. And now that's not there. And people go, it feels slow. It's like, no, it's just normal.
Yeah. And when they're literally banging down the doors before we came on for you guys, one of the conversations that we were having is I had some builders who had a sign out front. They have a sandwich board that says, we're trying our very best. We recommend that you have an appointment, and please be patient if it takes us a few minutes to get to you. They have the doors locked because there's only so many of them, and they had appointments. and
Right.
people were literally jumping the fence and trying to go in the back door or the side door. So
Yeah.
to break in, and then being angry that, they couldn't just be seen immediately, So
Yeah, that's always how I like to open up my sales presentations with, hey, excuse me, you're trespassing.
yeah, I know. It's like, call the superintendents. People are jumping my fence and banging down my door, and call 911. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always starting things off on
We used
on
to
a
say,
good.
what brought you in today? Now we're saying you're trespassing.
Yeah.
That's great. Total bizarro world. Everything's upside down.
Yeah, hopefully we're through a lot of that. Pipeline management, though, I mean, for the on-site salesperson,
Sure.
our skill set has changed so much to really manage the pipeline. You sold them, but they are not closed yet, and they're
Yeah.
in your pipeline, and just keeping in contact, just delivering how to deliver bad news. I don't think I've ever coached more on how to deliver bad news.
Sure.
I don't think it's bad news. I think it's just news.
Yeah.
We've got to stop assigning good or bad. News is news.
Right.
And the longer you hold off on sharing that news, the worse it's going to get. That's the part I can definitely assure you. So sometimes we have to tell people what they don't want to hear, but that doesn't necessarily make it good or bad. It just is.
That's right.
So were the OSCs also inundated and charged with a lot of that responsibility in what you were seeing?
Yeah, no, not in managing a backlog or anything like that. The couple of shifts that we've seen just in a buyer profile, customer profile is they're having to deliver more negative information about the sales process or availability. So in a normal world, 97% of your conversations with the new prospect is exciting. Like it's the first part of their journey, opportunities abound. Let's get you excited. Let's get you out on site. Let's move you through, the process. And so you're dealing with them when they're most excited. Now it's kind of flip-flopped. And the first thing we're saying is, if we even answer the phone, but when we do, it's like, I'm sorry, we don't have anything that's available. I'm sorry, it's going to take 12 months. I'm sorry, that price that you saw 3 months ago is now different. I'm sorry, or no. And that's a lot of negative stuff. And then there's also overflow, of potentially busy communities or busy, salespeople who aren't even able to get back to the customers. And those customers are starting to come back around and just calling a number on the website or reaching out via the website or chatting. And they're having to deal with some of that, like, I can't get someone to call me back about X, Y, or Z. And so that's a little bit of a similar situation, but it's not as exciting as it used to be during this time. But again, it is getting back to a more normal situation where you're able to handle the amount of calls and stuff like that. So yeah, it takes a little bit of a mental shift, and we just encourage our online sales teams, like, have some stamina to make it through this. Be mentally resilient. You may have to get your job satisfaction from somewhere else, or satisfaction, not from the job, is going to come from somewhere else, but it'll get back to normal. It really will. We're seeing that happen. I gave it till August, so I have till the end of the month. Wouldn't say a dramatic shift, but definitely a shift back. So we'll see.
Yeah, I said fall. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's happening faster than what I really expected it to do.
Yeah.
I think for both
Aaron,
online and on site, I think that what you just said about the mental resilience, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to find ways to take care of yourself and take some mental breaks. And you also have to figure out a way to reframe what you're doing to say, I am helping people to understand the process.
Right. Aaron had a really good question. I'll address that because it relates to that point. Do you think it'd be beneficial to have a designated call flow or agent to deliver those standard expectations or responses? Yes and no. It depends on how standard they are. So I think standardizing it from a website messaging first, like, hey, here is our availability and time frame to build. Followed up, like, I think during the height of this, it was good to have a pre-message to say, hey, this community is on a priority list and we are sold out. New homes are planned to be released on this time frame. If you'd like more information, you can either, leave a voicemail with your contact information or press 1 to talk to somebody. Now we're kind of opening it back up a little bit more. And I don't know if you have to do that all the time, but you do have to be ready to answer that question. And usually we're having to answer that question in online sales because it's not being communicated in other places where they're first learning about us. So in that communication vacuum, online sales is having to fill it. And if we're having to fill it with, oh, you can't move in a home for 1 year, it's not fun. Like, cause you're like the disappointment deliverers, you know, like, hey, I'm so glad you called, but we can't sell you anything. Are you still glad you called? You know, so it's I think marketing, the big takeaway there is just marketing and online sales work together. Make sure you got that messaging on point. A great question,
and share that messaging everywhere. You know, I mean, your social media, you know, there's so many creative ways to do this. And I don't know where we as builders, you know, we literally take dirt and make dreams happen on it. Why can't we be creative with our messaging? Why do we have to just show pictures of a house and think that that is marketing? It's not, you know, you're messaging, who are you and what's important, and having that empathy for the buyer's position and what the buyers are going through, and letting them know, here's what we can do for you.
Yeah.
You know, if we just focus on what we can do, it makes the what we can't do a whole lot less.
And I think I'll speak for some of the marketers on this call. I see you. I think, you know, I'm looking at Nicole and some other people that I know. The hardest part for marketers when you say, well, it sounds easy, but I don't even know what I'm supposed to be saying. And that specifically applies to, you know, a general builder. You know, like, I don't know that production's delayed. I don't know that, you know, Nathaniel says we don't have the right siding. And so, like, no one's communicated that to the person who's supposed to communicate it out to someone else. No one's told them if this is permanent or this is, you know, short term. And by the way, it changes. It's not just market to market, even, it's community by community.
It is.
It's different. And so they're going like, oh, we got to put this message over here and that message over here. And that's the hard work. And so that's why it's not happening. I think everybody has really good intentions and could probably do it if there was clear strategy and communication to all that. But a lot of people aren't talking, and we're all stressed out and in different directions. And then we wonder why our online sales are having to deal with this. And the online sales specialist doesn't even know. So everybody's got to sit down, get together, have a good place where they can communicate as best as they can, and just hope for the supply chain to get fixed. And as soon as that gets fixed, things will go back to a more manageable way to set expectations for our buyers. But it is hard to have consistent communication when the supply chain is all freaking messed up. I mean, it's just all out of whack.
And it's not the same for anybody. So, you know, some builders are struggling to get windows in, and others have completely just done away with all their lighting packages because they can't get them with any consistency. And
you get lighting with your homes? That's amazing.
So, LED lights in the ceiling now, man. That's it. LED lights. Yeah. So
you want windows? Oh, that's funny.
I know. Unbroken windows. That's what we'd like to have, is unbroken windows. So everybody, I do agree that everybody in the home building, I always say to my builders, you know, I help them to map out their process. And that's a big deal. Everybody needs to be involved in that mapping out the process. Who touches that customer and where does that funnel get clogged as you're moving them through? So
well, you need to be careful about who and where you're touching your customers.
That's true. We should always touch them.
Social distance. Yes. Social distance.
Appropriately, figuratively, for sure. So, Mike, I mean, you bring up a really good point, and we leave our salespeople and our OSCs out on islands to figure things out for themselves. In the ideal world, let's forget the COVID world and the madness that we're living in now. Let's talk about an ideal world. How do we get our OSCs and our on-site people in sync so that they're running that relay, they're passing the baton, they're not looking like the men's 4x400 relay where they were just all wonky, and Charles Lewis is like, you know, goes on a Twitter rant about them. You know, how do we keep that from happening and make this a seamless process for the buyers?
Well, I mean, if we want to use the example of the men's consistent ability to totally mess up a baton handoff, not the women, by the way. Women got to figure it out, just saying, but the men can't seem to figure this out. You know, it has nothing to do with their ability to run or that they're the fastest people in the universe. You know, they're the fastest people on two legs. It all comes down to how much time they had to work on practicing that transition. When are we going to hand it off? How's it going to happen? When are you starting? When are I starting? When do I actually make that handoff? It is no different in the world of online sales and on-site sales. You've got to have a very specific process and you've got to practice it. So step one is, first of all, telling everybody what the expectations are. And so for those of you, you've probably heard this a million times, but I'm gonna tell you things you haven't heard before. The first thing is, most salespeople don't know that the second they have the lead, like they got the notification that an appointment was set, that is their prospect. That's their customer now. A lot of them are waiting for them to come in the door.
No, they should absolutely
And physically show up. But the lead is theirs when they get the notification in their CRM and the appointment invite. That is your customer. So what would you do if that customer walked in the door? They're virtually walking in, right? That's where it's happening. So that's the first mindset shift that a lot of our on-site sales teams and leadership have to have, is really, when did that handoff actually happen? The second part of it is just understanding what we're asking them to do in this handoff process is for their benefit. It's helping to remove the threat of a brand new person being introduced into this process, right? Because that's confusing to a customer. And that preparation time for appointments, they're going to spend either that time preparing for it and getting ready and potentially doing a quick check-in with the customer before they come in, or they're going to try and spend that exact same amount of time, probably more, chasing them down when they leave. So the time investment is the same on either the front end or the back end, but it's better for them to do it on the front because it's more likely to improve that whole situation.
Wait, you just blew my mind. Are you suggesting that on-site salespeople,
yes,
should be proactive?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just had my mind blown there for a minute. I'm going to catch up with you. Go. Okay, go. Sorry.
Well, and listen, I mean, I know you're joking, and a lot of people say, stuff like that, like you're asking them to do, but to the credit of on-site teams, they have not been trained on how to do this, and they haven't been given what's actually in it for me. Like, I feel like you're just giving me another task list. Isn't this your job? And it's like, no, we work together, and here's why you need to be doing a couple of these things in the in-between time of appointments, because it's going to help facilitate the sale and make the customer feel comfortable.
And it warms it up for you. We all like warm leads.
Yes.
So one of the things the best thing that I have seen is a video handoff.
Oh yeah.
I love video handoffs from the online to the on-site, and we send this to the customer, and it's an automatic thing, but it lets the customer meet virtually, at least, the on-site sales agent. And a lot of the expectation setting that is more of I'm going to use that because one of our, I forget who said it, but standard expectations. I think nothing is standard. That's a no word for me.
Yeah.
Those things that you're repeating over and over and over again, those can be done basically once in a video message, which is then followed up by a more personal. But people love those.
Yeah, we talk about the process for an on-site sales specialist is you need to immediately call and email the customer. So that email can be a template. And that call is just a way for them to hear your voice via voicemail or have a quick phone conversation to let them know you're excited to meet with them, set the expectation for what's actually happening. The video email is even, better. That's the icing on the cake, because now you're able to say what you would say potentially in a voicemail, talk a little bit about the information that you have in front of you, tell them how excited you are, just wanted to put a face with the name. And that helps warm them up. Again, just psychologically speaking, when they see that person and hear the person, when they walk in the door, they feel a different type of connection with that person. And so when we ask on-site salespeople to do a video email, they go, oh my gosh, that's so hard. And it's like, but what is it doing for you? Like, think about what that does for that customer. Every interaction that you have, even before they come, they're now matching a face and a voice and your tonality and your enthusiasm with all that messaging. and they walk in the door and the comfort level is way higher, the threat level is dropped. So yes, it's hard, but it's also what no one else will do. We can't even get our on-site people to freaking pick up the phone and call. They're definitely not going to send video emails. So it sets you apart. And listen, here's the deal. I'm getting on a rant. Oh, Mo, guys, stop me. Chat me. Give me an amen. Give me a preach, because I'm going. Here's the deal. Every builder's getting online sales specialists in place. Everybody knows, like, there is no option for us to have this in place, but they're not figuring out the handoff. So you can have a great online sales program that's setting an appointment, and you can royally screw what? The hand up off. You know, it doesn't even happen, and you're disqualified like the men's freaking relay team. If we can't get that down, it messes everything else up. And so you've really got to make sure that connection is tight. So it's training them, it's showing them, it's giving them the tools, it's making sure they understand how to use the CRM the right way, showing them how to use BombBomb, all those fun things. But then it's about reinforcement. And I'll drop this little nugget or bomb, whatever you want to call it, in your lap and let you handle it, Kimberly. Why are our sales leaders not holding on-site sales specialists accountable to doing the handoff process?
That is an excellent question, and I agree with you. I think they should be holding them accountable to do it, and that needs to happen. You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect, right? We've all talked about that for lots of years now. And our friend Jeff Shore was the first one, when back in the day before he was Jeff Shore, he was also a mentor when I was with a large publicly traded builder. And that's one of the things that he taught us. And then I had another mentor who said, get out and stay out. And it seemed cruel and harsh. And I went, what do you mean, get out and stay? She said, you got a phone, you got a computer, go. I don't want you in here. You've got to be out there in the field seeing how this stuff is happening. And I don't care if you're the senior VP, I don't care what your title is. If your job is ultimately to respond to what's happening in the world of sales, get out.
Yeah.
You need to be out there, and you need to be role playing. If you're not comfortable role playing, how is your team ever going to be comfortable role playing and knowing how to do this stuff and knowing that this is the expectation?
Yeah.
So, it's a little hard to hold people accountable when we don't know it ourselves, I guess is the.
I'll throw this back to everybody on this call or people listening to this in the future. Here's the deal. Over 50% of sales are starting in the online world first and then moving into on-site to make it actually happen. I mean, on-site sales is who's actually selling the home. Online isn't doing that. But 50%, that's a huge percentage of your business. It only works if you marry both of these together and everybody's working together as a team. And that's just, it's got a huge weight to it. So teaching them is one thing, making sure they understand it is completely different, and holding people accountable to those who don't. Like, I don't get a single, confirmation back that you got an email. I don't see calls going out. We don't see any kind of communication between you and the customer, because that's all tracked in a CRM. Mm-hmm. You gotta
just use
the
CRM, make it easy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to say one more thing: reward right behavior.
Sure.
If this is leaders, if this is what you expect of your people, and even salespeople, if this is what you expect of the OSC, and OSC, if you expect it of your salespeople, reward right behavior, and that can be as simple as thank you. Thank you, please.
No, salespeople need more than that. I don't know about you guys. They need money. They need some Starbucks gift cards. They need to win something. We call it the tag team award over here at Do You Convert, but it's the online sales specialists are taking their time to give those out every single week in the sales meeting. If you're doing virtual sales meetings, they do it virtually, but they go, you did a great job on the handoff. Your video email was awesome, or we got great feedback from this customer. So here's your $10 Starbucks gift card. I mean, it's all that you need. But I mean, thank yous are good, but salespeople like that money.
They like recognition too, though.
Salespeople money.
Are very motivated, and yes, money, but honestly, recognition. So reward right. Have your whole system set up around rewarding people for doing the things that you want them to do. That shouldn't be that hard. Just think about, as Dr. Covey says, begin with the end in mind. So what do I ultimately want to have happen? Now I want to take the steps. How do I get from here to here? and let's reward that along the way, because the end will take care of itself, because you're going to have more sales, and everybody gets rewarded when we have more sales. So how can we take our online and our on-site salespeople and build more of that team? You know, just even 2 years ago, and this has really changed in the last couple of years, because I have seen more appreciation for the online. But even 2 years ago, there's a lot of a builder comes in and says, made a decision today, we're going to hire an online sales counselor, and you're going to work with them. And by the way, it's going to cost you part of your commission.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right? That's so.
You're going to take your leads and your money.
Yeah.
Welcome to the team, everybody.
Welcome to the team. So, and as a salesperson, of course, you know, the immediate focus is on what's going away, not on what is being gained. So first of all, builders, and I would say, don't do that, number one. But even if that does happen, as a salesperson, I feel like we have an obligation in sales to start to look at the big picture. You know,
well, no, don't. If you're taking it out of their commission, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that. So
don't do it.
Anybody who's listening or is doing that, it's wrong. We've seen it. We tried it. Not we tried it, but we've tried to work with it and it doesn't work. So even if it's a small amount, $200, $300, whatever it is, to try and compensate for this, this is not a, you know, we're not trying to make this even. If you add these two together, it's like multiplication. It's not addition. So you got to set that up. The other thing too is you're usually trying to shift some resources where you may not have needed additional assistance in a model or something like that who's managing traffic or follow. Like that's all it's your digital assistant, it's your online sales specialist. So from an SG&A standpoint and overhead, it's a wash. It actually adds to your business. So that's my short version of that's why you don't do that. The second thing is wait, what was the question we were talking about? What are we supposed to do here? How do we get?
So how do we get these two to become more of a team?
Best friends forever.
BFFs,
Don't take money out of their checks. Number one. But I want to ask you, everybody listening here, chat out what are some of the things that you do that help build good relationships between your online and your on-site team. So I want to see, as I'm talking through a couple of things, what you guys do at your organizations to build that love. And I want to see who's paying attention. I can see you out there, Sarah, Renee, Susie, Tasha, good to see you. I'm calling out names, so I want to see what you guys do out there. I love the tag team awards. Our personal favorite tag team so far has been the welterweight, heavyweight belt that goes around. A lot of people have adopted that. It's one of my personal favorites. The You Don't Succulent award, give away little succulents. That one's been fun. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing. You got to chat to everyone so we can see that. But here's what I would say. You start first by introducing in the right way when a new salesperson is hired. So you have to get them vaccinated, right? It's a lot better than dealing with this in the hospital. You vaccinate them on what we're actually doing with online sales and how it's going to help your business and how this is potentially going to be 50% of your business is coming from these appointments that are being set, yada, yada, yada. Here's our process, et cetera. And then they go, oh, okay, great. This is how we do it here. Remember, a lot of on-site salespeople are coming from builders that had bad online sales programs. And so it's like a bad ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. They're like, I didn't like that before. And it's like, well, it's not the same here. It's different. So step one, get them vaccinated. Step two, what you have to do is introduce them more into the sales meetings. Okay. So We're talking like 5 minutes. Okay. We're not talking like you got to do a 30-minute session every time. And I've heard this multiple times over the past couple of months and really 6 months or so. There's been two problems. One is going virtual. We don't meet in person anymore. And when we do meet in person, we got so many things we got to cover. They don't have time to talk about it. And it's like, okay, hey, 50% of your sales deserves not 50% of the meeting. Give us like 3%. That's all we need. But talk about the numbers, talk about what's happening, give away a tag team award, talk about, hey, here's a quick tech tip on how you can send your videos, or this is something that you can do on your CRM that really makes your life easier. Then you get them looped into that. So they're getting some exposure to the sales team. And the final thing, and this goes to online salespeople, you have to think about your on-site team is your customers. So nurture those
Oh, I like that.
relationships,
Yeah.
get out in their community, go visit them, be prepared when you go out at the right time. Don't surprise them. Bring them a Starbucks when you're going out to visit them. We bear gifts and presents as we meet with them, and build those relationships one by one. And when you do that and you understand how they work and they understand how you work and you can answer questions, you can help them with things, the relationships magically improve. So those are just a couple quick tips. Stacy says bi-weekly check-in calls with each sales rep, which I think is amazing. They round up the cheer squad. I love that. Chat to pump them up. Tasha checks in on Sundays. Shout outs when they get positive feedback from anyone. Ask what they can do to help. Sarah says transparency. Share reporting with sales and operations teams. Oh, Sarah, that's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every week.
Reports they can read. Let's put it that. I want to rephrase that, like simple reports that they don't have to dive into the data. New leads, appointment set, sales from appointments, overall contribution.
And if
Those
you
are
have
your
a
main.
decent CRM, it does all that for you. So,
Well, yes and no. Not total combined stuff, because if you're pulling sales from somewhere else, you got to plug it all in together. And so usually people are just using a very basic and simple report to get that top line information, but you can pull it quickly from the CRMs, but they need something easy to read that just landed in their inbox or in a digital space. So yeah, Coley says our online concierge is routinely part of sales meetings, the first piece of training for any new sales hire to sit with them in the afternoon. That's great. We
be
often
on your
like to
quick start. Yeah.
show them where the bathroom is, and then we train them on where online sales is, right? So those are all great. Thank you for that feedback, guys. That's really awesome.
That is awesome. Thank you very much. And a lot of it, as with anything when we're talking about culture, comes from the top. Is there a respect for what the role of each person is? And again, back to something Mike said earlier, is that role clearly defined?
Right.
Does everybody know this is my job, this is your job, and this is how it flows through the process? You'd be surprised. I think we like to assume stuff, and we all know what happens when you assume. So let's don't do that. Let's break it down to build it back up so that everybody does understand this is how this flows through. And yeah, sometimes it's gonna backflow, right? So you'll get that customer who comes in and then they're calling the online, or they've already been, they've dealt with the online, and then they go to the onsite and they have their appointment, but they developed a little bit of rapport, and so they do it themselves. Salespeople, it's not a reflection on you, it's just the customer.
Sure.
So I think we all need to be able to understand what each other does, and what an amazing concept when we can understand each other's world.
I think that's a good idea.
Yes. So let's talk about appointments, though, because I don't know about you, I'm just so excited that salespeople now understand that appointments are cool.
Yes, appointments are cool. That's a good bumper sticker right there.
Yes. So I've been preaching for years, 10, 5, 2, 1. That's a formula that I use. I don't worry so much about the 10 because I think that depends. So that's your traffic, right? So the average salesperson, I typically don't work with average anybody. So may need 10 leads to get 5 first appointments, 2 second or be back appointment to get 1 sale per week at a minimum. Now, some builders have a higher, obviously they're in a larger volume area, but in my world, 1 sale a week equals 50 sales a year.
Right.
And there's multiple ways to get there. But you're not going to get there ever if you don't have 5 first appointments.
Right. Right.
The math doesn't work.
Yeah, and here's I don't know if you guys are ready for this, for some serious math. Oh gosh.
Are you going to just don't spring new math on them, because it's too much.
10, 5, 4, 7 niners over. I think I got a niner in there. Here's what I'll think people got to consider. This is a new world that we live in, everybody. This is a new sales and marketing world for home builders. And the biggest thing that builders are missing, everybody getting real close and listen to my secret, because it's a secret that'll blow your mind and you'll have to change your reports. We're mixing up walk-in traffic with online traffic.
No. Oh, no.
It's You gotta understand it's different. They go, well, what's your traffic? And I go, my traffic was 10. Your traffic was 10, but 5 of those were coming from online. And in order to get the 5 to actually walk in the door the first time, we actually had to have like, roughly 20 or more, 25 to get to 5 actual physical appointments, people coming in the door. But then you're counting that as your walk-in traffic. That's not really your walk-in traffic. So first things first is you've got to separate those things out, because the other thing that they're doing is they're blending conversion rates of actual walk-in traffic with their online leads. Online leads convert at a higher rate than walk-in traffic. And it artificially inflates total conversion rates of traffic when you put all those things together. So you're going to have to start thinking differently about some of that math. And I know your brain probably hurts right now, everybody. I apologize. But that's all mixed up and it's all wonky and everybody's going, I'm doing great. And it's like, you're doing great because you converted 2 of your 3 sales from 3 online appointments, and you had 28 other walk-in traffic and you only got 1 sale from that 28. So something's off. Like we're too much is relied on pre-qualified appointments that are coming in the door. So I want you guys to think about that. I'm gonna put that over to the side, Kimberly, unless you disagree or agree. What do you think?
I don't disagree with that, because here's something that we do know about metrics and track. Garbage in equals garbage out.
Sure.
I worked with a builder one time, and he shared his reporting with me, and it was all a house of cards.
You said, take it back. I don't want this.
I was like, no, I was like, but none of this is real. So yeah, but it makes me feel good. Your report shouldn't make you feel good. It should tell you something valuable, because we want to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. I mean, right? Smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
So you've got to know where this stuff is coming from and how people are getting to you. Because if you don't know who your buyers are, I have a builder that their number one threat when I did their SWOT analysis, they have no idea who their buyers are until they're literally there with a check. They don't know where they're coming from. They just magically, I'm like, this is the number one threat that your business faces. If you don't know where your buyers are coming from, how are you going to get more of them when they stop magically appearing?
Sure. Well, I like magic.
I like magic too, but I really don't know that that's the best business plan.
Yeah. So that's really the first thing. Now, this is all going back to your appointments, because that was how the question started, right?
Do you like appointments?
I love appointments. And here's what builders have done, with COVID, most people went appointment only, virtual, regular, it was appointment only. And here's the little dirty secret that not a lot of builders are talking about publicly. Some of them have still kept it appointment only because it's so nice. It's so nice. I mean, think about it. If we can say we got someone who's pre-qualified, appropriately qualified, that we know what their situation is, who understands our pricing and our process, and we can do a little bit of this upfront work before, would you rather deal with them or deal with people who are walking in the door and being disappointed from the first interaction? We'd rather have someone else kind of filtering through this. So they've kept it appointment only, and that's a great shift. I mean, I really think we are all professionals and we should be able to work by appointment. Now, all that being said, we're going to a more hybrid approach as we come out. So some builders are saying, I'm going to be appointment only on these times, and early Saturday morning, I'll save a little bit of time there for appointments. And then Saturday afternoon and Sunday, that's going to be anybody come on in. But the rest of the time, we're appointment driven and we're setting up specific times. So there's definitely ways to do that a little bit differently. But the point is spending time up front to make sure we're meeting the customer's expectations and the customer understands our processes and how things work. When we do that, it's a better overall experience for sure.
Yeah, and if you set up salespeople, I've had some conflict or, have to mediate some of this stuff when the salesperson says, oh, well, they're scheduling an appointment for me at 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon.
Right.
Have those times that are what one of my builders called prime origination times. So that's where we know we're going to get more walk-in. Don't schedule an appointment. You already have an appointment. That appointment is your floor time.
That's right.
So don't allow, and tell no, I can't take an appointment during that time. I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And even if the realtor the outside realtor is pushing back, we need to tell them, no, I'm sorry. They're not going to be able to give you dedicated attention.
Yeah.
Your buyer is not going to have a great experience. So we need to make alternate arrangements.
Well, and here's the thing, folks. Again, this is mean Uncle Mike. Wait, hang on.
Oh, he's going to put on another hat.
That means some of you guys are going to have to wake up at 9 o'clock and get to work on time. And guess what, folks? Everybody can take off work. People are working from home. Nobody's checking on them. So they can come meet with you whenever you want. So if you're busy from 11 to 5 o'clock on Saturday or 11 to 6, come in at 9. Those are called normal working hours, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not knocking salespeople. I was a salesperson. I was there. But these crazy hours, when you actually add them up, it's like your office hours are really only 22 hours a week. Let's expand that time and set appointments, because I don't think there's a single salesperson who's great who would go, I can't take that at 9:30 on a Wednesday. If that's their day when they're working, but it doesn't open until 11, everybody's going to take an appointment at 9:30.
I hope.
Yeah, you'd hope.
Yeah, so I see Bill's is agreeing
Bill
with our
says
point.
yes.
Bill knows that's something. I'm like, never confuse model hours with the hours that you have to work to be successful in this business.
And never confuse the hours that you have to work with an actual increased paycheck, because 40 hours a week is your average work week. And I'm not talking about overworking people. I'm just saying there's going to be times, especially at certain times of the year for real estate, that in order for you to make an extraordinary income, you're going to have to work like 55, 60 hours a week. And guess what? Then when it slows down, you can go back to 40 or 35. You're not taking appointments because they're not happening. But right now, sell what we can. Let's make hay while the sun shines.
Let's make hay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but salespeople, and my fear is that the on-site salespeople are gonna gradually go back to their old habits as things reopen. And we don't know what's going to happen the next 6 months. We have no idea. I mean, we may open, close. I mean, who knows?
Sure.
So be prepared either way, but don't lose the good stuff that we've learned, and schedule those appointments and schedule them at appropriate times so that you can give those buyers a better experience, and not during the crazy busy times. But communicate that to your OSC. 99% of the things that go wrong in a home building aren't because the windows didn't come in. They're not because, we've got the wrong elevation, or we're going to start the home 6 weeks later than we anticipated. That's not what goes wrong. 99% of the things that go wrong is because we didn't communicate it effectively.
Yeah. So, I think if we had some production people on here, it's like, no, Kimberly, the windows are not coming in and we're renting appliances right now. I bet we didn't see that one coming. But hey, we're going to manage it. Like you said, it's all about communication. If you set that up front for the customer and say, we're going to do our best, and here's the good news, you have a home. You just don't have toilets, because who needs those?
Yeah, that's like buying a used home. Well, hopefully we don't have to go there. But I don't think I've had any builders with a toilet shortage.
They leave porta potties on site. They'll leave that.
That's true. Yeah, there's a porta potty there. There you go. We're all used to it. Now we wait for refrigerators for forever. So hopefully that stuff is working itself out. But the downside to appointments is that you can't necessarily take care of the walk-in traffic. The messaging needs to go from the beginning. Drive appointments. And
I'll stop you there, because this is head to head and we're supposed to fight or something like that, right?
Yeah, no, we're supposed to have a conversation.
So that is a downside, true. But what's the difference between someone walking in and you meeting with them versus an appointment being set up and meeting with them? The downside is not the appointment. The downside is we have multiple people coming in at the same time.
Right.
Like you said, expectation setting for that customer, or being able to give them something to do, or fill something out, or reset an appointment at a different time is what we're missing, instead of trying to juggle traffic. But a lot of salespeople do that. They go, well, I can't, the appointment's coming in, they're not here, it's 5 minutes late. I met with someone else and that appointment came in, they didn't even greet the customer. And it's like, would you ever roll your own appointment? You be checking with that customer. Hey, can we, oh yeah, I'm on my way. Like, a lot of times they just don't do that. But they have an up and they go, well, this person's here. That's who I'm working with. And it's like, oh, don't do that, because you don't see all the amount of work that we put in. The 7 different emails that went out, the 10 different hours that the customer was spending online researching this stuff, all leading up to the appointment, which we've built up to them, for them to walk in the door and you're like, 1 second. They're going to be like, what do you mean 1 second?
So set the expectation with the walk-in. Hey, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. I do need to let you know that I have an appointment who's on the way.
Yep.
And so I'm happy to help you as much as I can. But you know what? If I could get your information, then I can schedule some time for you where I could give you the same dedicated attention.
That's brilliant. I love that.
I mean, it's
Smooth.
all about talking, right? Just
Yes.
communicate with people. We
Yes.
get this stuff in our head, and I don't really understand why we do. My world is a little more maybe black and white than maybe some other people. I don't know. But just seems to me if we're honest with people, they're going to be honest with us, or more likely to be.
That's good. The 2 bumper stickers, appointments are cool,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's
that's
all
good.
about talking. Those are our 2 ones.
Communicating. Yeah. So
Yeah,
just
we got that.
communicate. And the other thing that it does is it creates a sense of urgency for the people who have just walked into the model
Yeah.
to go, we're busy. People are scheduling appointments with us because this is a great place to be. And you want to be part of this. And you want to be part of it in a way that, when I can meet you and share and find out about you.
Right.
So very, very important, I think. So
Well, hey,
communicating.
P.S. I'm just going to throw this out there. Like nothing, this makes me so mad on an annual basis. I just get so mad. I go to the dermatologist once a year because my wife makes me go to get all my moles checked because she's afraid I'm going to get melanoma.
Skin cancer, yeah.
And I love her for that. So I got to go. And I'm trying to book these when it can work and when they're open, all this stuff. I have never gotten into one of those appointments on time.
Nope.
Never, not once. And I'm sitting here going, you guys reminded me 48 different times that my appointment was happening, making sure that I was still coming. And I've yet to get in under 15 minutes past my appointment time. It's like, this is freaking ridiculous. What is going on? And so when a customer goes through that same process, especially about a home, and they drive out there and they're sitting around waiting or they're being juggled by someone else, they will just go, nope. Like, we're not talking about potential melanoma. They're like, I got other builders down the street that I'm going to work with. So just keep in mind, it's a frustrating experience when that happens. Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Friday I needed to go to the walk-in clinic. There was a line 45 minutes out the door. It's a walk-in clinic. You take what you get, right?
Yeah.
And of course, COVID. I'm in Florida, so
yeah. Don't walk out in Florida. You'd be safer. But
you're much better. Yes. Yeah, so
I think it's about the expectations. If you're going to the dentist and they're reminding you, and you set stuff up in advance, and you get there and you have to wait, it defeats everything. It just defeats the whole thing. It's like, we don't do this. So there's not a single person on this earth who goes, and I'm trying, like, listen, waiting is therapy for type A personalities, right? And so I look at this always and go, what can I do right now? But still, it's just like, you're sitting there 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding. Every single year. It's the same thing. Every stinking year.
Yeah, well.
Actually, a lot of you guys are probably going, why do you still go there? And I'm like, because I got to change it. It's only once a year and I got to change it. I don't want to do that.
And we are creatures of habit. But, guys, really, all of this really comes down to take a minute, think through your processes.
Oh, I was to do a beat.
You were going to do the beat.
I was going to drop a beat.
So if I could we could wrap it out, but I'm terrible at that.
Let's not do that.
Let's
save these people.
No, let's don't do that. But that's the hard part. We get so wrapped up all the time in just doing that we don't stop to plan what we should be doing. So if you'll stop for a minute, plan this stuff out, and then get everybody on board. People buy into a world they help create. Get them involved in the process. So
do you think we should stop, collaborate, and listen?
I do think we should.
Anyone out there?
Listen.
She said we weren't going to rap. Anyone?
There you go.
Anyone? No.
Oh, look. So our customers will leave. But if you've gotten their information, so I don't even know who said that. It disappeared very quickly on my screen. So let me scroll back.
Yeah, Nathaniel says, and that's why doctor's office does it, because their customers aren't leaving. Our customers will leave. And that's exactly right. Like, the pain of change is less than the pain of waiting, which is why they don't have to fix their freaking process. I'm the first appointment. I still don't understand. It's like, there's no one even here before me. I came at 8 o'clock at the butt crack in the morning to get my moles checked and strip down into my underwear. And you can't even get me in on time. But you're right. I'm not going to go anywhere. Versus, that impression that you get, your first impression, just, oh, I got to wait, or someone else is dealing with it, or they don't even know who I was, or they didn't read any information about me, and I feel like I have to tell my story all over again that I just talked to this online sales specialist about. So yeah, you got to get that appointment process down, because we're talking about like $80,000 of profit margin here. So don't screw it up.
No, absolutely. And that's a good point. So that communication has to go not only here, oh, here's an appointment, but what were those 20 conversations?
Yeah.
And how did those 20 conversations go? What are their fears? What are they worried about? You know, how can I make this a better transition for them? Those are all questions. Salespeople, we're supposed to be the ones who ask the right discovery questions. Discover with your OSC as well, and have a process that's shared.
Yeah.
So, because the OSC spent a lot of time, they rolled up their sleeves with these people. And, you know, if you have to start from square one, you kind of miss the point.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and to Nathaniel's point, our customers will leave if you don't treat them with respect and if you don't set those right expectations. So like I said, if you have an appointment coming in and somebody walked in, do what you can before the walk-in gets there, and get them as engaged in the process, find out what you can, and then schedule an appointment. We're either closing for a sale or we're closing for an appointment at every engagement that we have with our prospects. That's what we should be doing. Closing thoughts or other best practices, things that you're seeing out there, Mike, and hey, from all of you, any closing thoughts that you have too. Thanks so much for all these great points today.
Yeah, you guys are talking and listening. Bill, he said it's all about listening. I'm listening to your chats, right? Reading your chats. Closing points. Ooh, what would I say?
Come on, it's got to be really profound.
Yeah, I didn't prepare for this, so give me a second. Here's what I would say. You know, no matter what's happening in the world, like the economic drivers, the market, you know, home building is still necessary, and we're still, you know, trying to catch up with the needs out there. That doesn't mean that home building isn't going to shift and affordability isn't going to change, or we're going to come up with different products. But at the end of the day, I love this industry because it's such a high stakes sale, and there's so much emotion involved in that, and the sense of place is just so strong. And technology can really help a lot of that stuff, but it's never going to replace the need for our sales teams and for our online sales specialists. I mean, chatbots just can't do it. You know, a process that we buy online, while some of those things are cool and it's a great way to start, it's not going to be the way people finish. In most situations, like, they want to see what this is like. They want to see what their home is like and what the approach is like and what they feel like when they drive into the neighborhood. So because of all of that, means we got to keep working with people, and people have human challenges, and they have hair on the top of their head. And that usually means drama is going to come with it, which makes sales leaders, marketing leaders just super, super valuable. So your people skills, your ability to learn, retain, and be curious about this role in this industry is going to serve you through the next shift. And we may see a correction, we may see a super correction, or it may just go back to normal. But either way, people will be looking to leaders for guidance. And if you're on things like this and you're paying attention to things like this, you're one of those people. So hang through this last little tough spot we're going through, and we'll make it out the other side. But for those of you who earned the COVID merit badge, and then the hot market merit badge, and then the supply chain issue merit badge, congratulations. You did a great job.
And it's going to help you, you know, as long as you learn from it and you keep the best of it and you move forward. So we are definitely out of time. Mike and I we could talk about this all day long, but I want to thank Mike for joining me, taking time. I want to thank all of you for sharing and taking your time with us. And we will see you back here in September. Thanks again, Mike. And I will get the video out to everybody ASAP.
Thank you for having me. This was the most fun I had all day.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I had fun too.
All right.
Bye, everybody.